So I want to start this video by telling you guys that at the end of this video, this car will be on the road. So you may remember from the last video, we took the Jaguar F-Type to Dream Ice in Hinckley, which is where it is now, and we've pretty much done a full respray on the car. So as you can see, we've got a full front end we need to fit to the car. That's a bonnet, both wings, the front bumper, and the headlights. Also, we have a side skirt to go on the car. We have some warning lights to get off the dash. We have some wiring to fix around here. We have some wiring to fix around the back too. And also fit the rear diffuser. And there's also some work that needs doing on the interior of the car as well. So I think we should probably get a move on. So the first piece of many to go back on is the inner wing. It was an ambitious goal trying to get this car back on the road in this video. And trust me, it did not all go to plan, but you'll see that later. For now, let's get these panels bolted up, starting with this inner wing. We're being as careful as we can with these freshly painted panels, obviously to avoid marking them. It's been so long since I took this car apart, I can hardly remember how it goes back together, so sometimes it's a case of bolting something on, then having to take it off again to put something else on, like with this wing trim, which I forgot to put on here. But let me tell you, putting all of these panels on feels amazing. So that's now all of the wing bolts going in, including the ones inside the wheel arch which hold the outer skin of the wing to the inner skin of the wing, and then we can move on to the side skirt. So once we replaced the brackets which clip the side skirt to the body of the car, it was dead simple, just clipping it into those brackets, putting a few bolts in the wheel arches, and also some clips underneath. And then it was onto the back end. Now the passenger side is assembled, and the first thing we need to do here is fix the parking sensor, which the wire had just broken out of on one of them. So once this was soldered and then heat shrinked, that should now be good to go with a new parking sensor. Okay, now we've got the parking sensor sorted to be able to fit it in the rear diffuser. Now we can start looking at fitting this to the car. But there is one thing which I need, which plugs in just here. And I couldn't figure this out for ages what it was, but it turns out it's the fog lights which fit here and here. Now from memory, I believe from Jaguar, these were like £200 each. Maybe even more than that, but I did manage to find these, which are off, I don't know if you guys can read that, a Jaguar F-Pace SVR, and these have the exact same part number as the F-Type ones, and these cost £60 each, which is a huge saving. And it's little wins like that that make all the difference and really give you a little bit of extra affordability when rebuilding cars like this. So now we can reassemble the diffuser piece which the boys at Dream Ice have painted, so now we can bolt in the rear fog lights and reversing lights, and also we have to fit up the parking sensors, including these little plastic pieces which hold them to the diffuser. And now the back end of the car is all trimmed up. It only seems right that we talk about keeping you trimmed up. Manscaped is trusted by over 8 million men worldwide, and this is their Performance Package 4.0. Look at all this stuff that you get in this package for maintaining your package. The first thing you get is the Lawnmower 4.0, and this is the real star of the show. And what this comes with is ceramic blades, just to help make sure you're not going to have any nasty accidents when you're trimming your bush. This waterproof trimmer also features an LED light for that precise cut, and also wireless charging. Not only that, you also get the Weed Whacker. This is ideal for those spots where the lawnmower just can't quite reach. With a precise 7,000 RPM blade, the Weed Whacker 2.0 has all of the tools needed to trim all of those tight spots. Now also included in the Performance Package 4.0 is two products I never even knew I needed. Firstly is the Crop Preserver Ball Deodorant, and secondly is the Crop Reviver Ball Toner. Simply apply the Crop Preserver after a shower for all day BO protection, and then the Crop Reviver is a cooling aloe vera spray in a convenient spray bottle to keep your meat and two veg refreshed whenever you need it. So to get your Performance Package 4.0, use discount code SLIX or the link in the description, and that's going to give you 20% off plus free delivery. And on top of that, Manscaped are going to gift you the Shed, which is a convenient carry bag for all your Manscaped products, and also this nifty pair of boxers. So that's discount code SLIX for your Performance Package 4.0. Now speaking of performance, let's get back to this Jag. And now the diffuser is ready to go on the car, so we simply plug in the fog and reverse lights and all of the parking sensors and clip it into the bumper. And then the second part of the distinctive SVR rear diffuser. Now, it actually worked out cheaper for me to buy this brand new. One, because it came in the correct colour, but two, because the one which was for sale was the wrong colour, but also more expensive than a brand new one in the right colour. Does that make sense? But now, with all the protective packaging removed off that, I can now look at this junction box on the front, which is where all the jump leads go to. Now, thanks to Jag, who came through again with a part that I couldn't find for only £80, including a pair of seatbelts as well. It was just an unquestionable bargain, so we managed to transfer everything from the old one into this one and then bolt it to the car. And whilst I was doing that, Corey was reassembling the front bumper, so refitting all of the grills, the parking sensors, and all of the things which I'd fitted to the bumper previously. Now, this is really where things start to come together on this car, because we haven't seen the full face on it. We haven't seen the car with a bumper and two headlights on, which is going to be, you know, a huge thing for me anyway. It feels like one of those things that's been holding us up and keeping us away from that final first drive that we've been aiming for since we started the build. So once Corey got the side grills in and also that fiddly centre grille, we could then start looking at fitting that up to the car. But not before we have a quick look at the headlights that we've got to go on the car. So as I explained briefly in the last video, I had one headlight for the driver's side, but I didn't have one that I could use on the passenger side because the one that came with the car had all of the mounting points broken, so I've had to go and buy a brand new one. When I say brand new, it was brand new on eBay, so I don't think it had ever been fitted to a car, but it wasn't from the main dealer and it was a fraction of the price. So once I'd got both of these bolted up, using the 3 mounting points they come with, we could then plug them in. And that is finally a pair of headlights on the car. I've also got a new hose to feed the headlight washers too, and now it's for the front bumper. Okay, front bumper is ready to go on. We've got the wiring loom in. We're just plugging in the washer jets and the new washer jet, which is over there, which we lost in the accident. And just trying to figure out exactly what goes on with these foam bits. We've found that these foam bits sit in the bumper, but this one sits on the crash bar. Is there anything we're missing? I don't think so. I think we're good to go. Let's find out. We've got bolts, some. Let's see what happens. So super carefully, we start to slide that front bumper into place, making sure that we don't mark the new headlights and also the fresh paint on that bumper. And it's a tight fit, but it does go on, so then we can start putting the fasteners in place across the top and the sides, ready for us to start looking at aligning the panels in the future. And the front bumper is on, and that looks immense. That's the first time I've seen this car with a face on it, and it looks crazy. So now what we're going to look at is the arch liners. You may remember I talked about these before. So you may remember I talked about the SVR arch liners, and they were £1,500 for the pair, and as nice as this car is, I refuse to pay that, especially when there's only a few minor differences between those and the R arch liners. So I'm going to try and make these ones fit my car. If you can't remember, I'll just re-jog your memory a tiny bit. We had a look at what we could do to make these arch liners fit the SVR, and it turns out it's not even as much as I thought, as physically the R and the SVR are exactly the same in every way, shape and form, dimension-wise. They're the same width, everything like that, but there's just a few minute differences, one of them being this little section that we need to trim off here. So see what you think to this. This is the F-Type R arch liner now installed on the SVR, and well, it couldn't really look much better, I don't think. We've used every single hole that the standard arch liner uses. It fits absolutely perfectly. The only bit we've had to do trimming wise is a small edge here. We've had to take off a section and also had to curve this edge here. But apart from that, it takes every single hole here, here. We've got one more bolt to put in there, but that will go in. And, well, we can't grumble at all. Especially when this is the original SVR arch liner, which is battered, but you can see here, look at this hole. It looks like it's been elongated by hand, exactly like what we've done on here. So I'm pretty happy with that. That saved me £1,500 for 2 SVR arch liners, which is just a silly number anyway. So I'm glad about that. But if you do think it's a bodge, let me know when you come around to buy it off me and we can look at changing it. But we have got another problem with the car which has flashed up without even driving it. We put it away last night and it was absolutely fine, and today we've gone to it and we've got no power steering at all. I've reset the battery by taking that off and leaving that disconnected, reconnected it, still no power steering, which is worrying really, because obviously we've replaced the steering rack because it was snapped in half earlier, but it was working after we did that, so I can't make sense in my head of why it's doing it and why it's not playing ball. So I'm going to leave the battery disconnected overnight and see if that resets it. Fingers crossed it does, and again it's just another battery issue because the car's not being driven enough, but only time will tell. The boys are going to finish off the bonnet tomorrow, get that assembled, and I'm going to be picking it up on Friday, ready for some more work to continue on it somewhere else. So the final few finishing touches, we've got the sill plates that have got to go over the side skirts so Corey can pop those on, and then it's time for the bonnet. And the bonnet is just on in time. We've got a few finishing little touches to do. The alignment's a little bit out and we've got a few extra bits that need putting on it, but we have no time left because the car has now got to go on the trailer and go off for tracking. Now, because the Jag now has a bumper on, it's a little bit harder to get on some trailers, so we've got Judd's vehicle transport here to take it from here to Wraptor Customs, where we're going to be doing some more work on the car after tracking. Links in description. So we are now on to the next step of our journey with the F-Type SVR, and there's a few things I wanted to do to the car before I take it on the road. So we are now at Wraptor Customs, where we have spent about the last 8 hours, maybe a little bit more, aligning all of the panels on the F-Type, and we are about there. We're at a point now where we can move forward and start looking at some of the other bits on the car. Because I don't actually know any of the service history with this F-Type, we want to make sure that the diffs are serviced, the engine oil's serviced, and while it's here, there's a few extra little bits we may as well do as well. So this is my master Jag mechanic, Judd, and you have got JLR experience, especially in setting up panel gaps, but with a lot of things really. That's right. So the first step of the next stage of the Jaguar F-Type project is taking the bonnet off. So the reason we have took the bonnet off is to make accessing the supercharger that little bit easier, because we're going to be changing it for a slightly smaller pulley. Is that right? Tell me what we've got to do, because I don't know anything about superchargers.
So this is your whopping great supercharger.
Okay.
That generously comes on these Jags, and we need to access this pulley here. That's the upper supercharger pulley. If we change that for one of our Wraptor performance pulleys,
That does look phenomenal.
It's very, very precision engineered from a high grade billet of stainless steel. This is actually smaller than the standard one, so it's almost like changing the gears on a bicycle.
It's making it go faster and faster. Yeah.
Then faster, yeah.
And faster means more boost, is that right?
Boost.
More boost means?
More power.
More power means more prizes.
More prizes. We need to get the old one off first.
Okay.
So a special puller to pull it off. Let's show you that now, shall we?
Show me your puller. Okay, the first thing I want to say on this voiceover is thank you so much to Judd for everything he did for me on this car and helped me do, because without him this video wouldn't have got finished and got out when it is out now. So do him and me a favour and go and check out his YouTube channel. The link's in the description. It's Wraptor Customs. He specialises in like performance Jag stuff, but does a whole host of things. So we've got the super special tool fitted to the pulley now. If you didn't have that, you may have to do all sorts of things like cutting it off, or I don't know, there's a few things you could do, but this is definitely the best way because you can do it on the car. Is that right?
That's right.
Okay. I don't know if you can tell, I know nothing about superchargers. They're just like an alien world to me, but you're making it look easy.
Well, hopefully this is going to pull it off nice and easy. Should wiggle the last little bit. Hey. There we go. Light work. Ta-da. That's the old.
That's your. Pulley. If you have that pulley on your F-Type, you are B-Tech.
Right, so here I have a test fit pulley. It's the same as the pulley we're about to fit, but with the middle dremeled out, so it just slots over the shaft. And that way we can see if the new one is going to fit. Now that looks okay, but as we go to rotate it, it's stiff, it's binding. The reason being is we need to take some material down on this casing.
That is something that would scare me.
No, it's easily done. We're going to make basically the thickest part of the casing, the same diameter as the thinnest part.
Okay, so it's consistent all the way around.
Exactly.
So why is it not the same? Is it just time and age?
It's poor casting, believe it or not. If we have one in where the shaft is bang in the middle of this casing, they usually go just straight on. Oh. But when they get a bit of poor machining from factory like this, we overcome it by taking a bit of material off.
Nice. Now we had access to the supercharger pulley and we had the tool ready to get it off. We could cover off any holes which might go into the engine to make sure no filings get in there, and then start taking a little bit of material off the supercharger to make sure that precision billet Wraptor supercharger pulley is going to be a perfect fit. As you can see, that's looking much better. So now we can start looking at fitting the new one. So what we've got to do first here is heat it up to FH, so that's F in hot. And by the time it's glowing red, we can then slot it onto the supercharger, and then we've got to cool it down rapidly to make sure it doesn't damage any of the supercharger bearings. And once it's cooled down with water, Judd then blows everything off with air as well to help it cool even more, but also just to make sure no water gets anywhere you don't want it. And then it's back on with all of the bits we took off. Just that little intake pipe and the support bar across the front, and that smaller supercharger pulley is fitted. Now, even though this will give a performance gain over the standard one, it's not going to be huge on the SVR because of the mapping. So we need to get the map tweaked in the future and maybe come back for some more mods, but we'll see about that. The next thing to do is start looking at the serviceable items. So we want to change the engine oil and also the differential oil, because we don't know when this was last changed, and also as well with the drive shaft having come out of the diff and no oil coming with it, when I change that front drive shaft, I want to make sure there is enough in it and it's going to be safe and not explode. So once we'd drained the engine and the diff oil, we could start pumping some fresh diff oil into the front and rear differential, because this car is 4-wheel drive. Then it was time to change over the oil filter, which we'd cracked off earlier. And then finally a good amount of oil to fill this engine up, and now it should be ready for a start. So we now have fluids in the Jag and we're going to go for a startup now. We've also, like I mentioned before, got an issue with the power steering. Now we're hoping this could be down to the battery. That's the main thing I'm hanging on, because the power steering worked perfectly before. So we've reset the battery and we're just keeping fingers crossed that it's going to work. Let's go! The battery's dead, mate. So while we're waiting for the battery to start, because the car just needs a good drive out to charge it, we are going to fit up these wheel spacers that iBack have sorted us out with. We've gone 20mm for the rear and 15mm for the front, because let's face it, the stance on this car, it just ain't it. So I just wanted to push the wheels out ever so slightly more towards the edge of the wheel arches, which is going to give the car a more muscular and, you know, a beefier look, especially from behind, and just fill out those wheel arches properly. So using the wheel spacers from iBack with some fresh Wraptor black wheel nuts for the Jag, it looks much better. Okay, front spacers fitted. Let's go for startup attempt number 2. It sounds good. Really got any warning lights? There we go, power steering assistance reduced. Why? Embarrassingly, this is a clip from earlier in the video, and it turns out I'd wired it up completely wrong. So once Judd had sorted that, it was fixed. And then we were on the home straight. We could refit the bonnet and then just do a final alignment on the panel gaps for that. I can start fitting some of the trims that go on the underside of the bonnet, like the sound deadening and the rubbers. And then once we got the bonnet latched, the F-Type was almost ready for the road. So there we have it, one nearly completed, rebuilt Jaguar F-Type SVR, but there is one key thing that this car is missing. Actually, make that 2 things. The first thing we need is a number plate, so thank you to Leicester Auto Sales for these ones. And the last thing is the carbon fibre bonnet vents to finish off the car. So now we're going to say bye to Judd at Wraptor Customs. I'm going to leave all his links for his YouTube channel, for his shop, all the bits that we've done in this video in the description. And now there is one thing that we have to do with this Jag. And that is go for a drive. But ever since I've owned this car, I feel like it's been changing me from a 28-year-old boy racer into a more stereotypical, sophisticated Jaguar owner. So there we have it. That is a huge milestone for the Jaguar F-Type SVR project, as it's now roadworthy but still not 100% done. But for now, make sure you like this video, hit on that subscribe button, and I'll catch you next time.